We all know that in life, nothing lasts forever. Change, well, it's inevitable. The question becomes, how do you react to change? Do you resist, or do you adjust and go with it in hopes that change could lead to something better?
To some, Atlanta Business Chronicle might appear to be just a paper, but to many others, it's an invaluable tool used to build their business. For Ed Baker, the Chronicle was his baby, and for the 30 years he served as publisher, it was the conduit through which he helped trumpet the accomplishments, both business and civic, of a city he loved so dear. When Ed Baker arrived at the Chronicle in 1986, he brought with him an astute business sense. A Georgia State University alumnus, he had already spent a decade in advertising. Under his leadership, Atlanta Business Chronicle became the go-to news source, not just for C-level executives, but for anyone who wanted to know about the dynamic business scene that was rapidly shaping the region around them. In December of 2015, Ed Baker decided it was time for a change. He would turn the page on this chapter of his life and start a new one, putting his energy into another passion, educating the next generation of Atlanta business leaders.
Well, just as change came to Ed Baker's life, so it has too at Atlanta Business Chronicle. David Rubinger has taken over the role of publisher. But before he officially kicks off hosting duties for Executive Profiles, I thought I'd go one-on-one to learn more about the man who has some pretty big shoes to fill. Let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
You grew up in New York?
Yes, grew up in Manhattan, right in the heart of New York City. Spent my entire time there before going off to college in Connecticut. Living in New York City is so exciting at all times for a young person, being exposed to the culture and to the business climate. And that entire time, I remember every morning going and getting the New York Times from outside the front door and just tearing it apart, giving me that love for journalism at a young age.
When did you get bitten by the bug?
I think it all started with my love for sports, to tell you the truth. I mean, it all started with reading, wanting to read the sports section every day and learn about what's going on with my favorite teams. But over time, I started to develop an interest in politics as I got older. I'm a child of the Watergate era. So I remember as a child coming home from school and seeing the Watergate on television, and then reading about it in the paper, and then seeing all the president's men and reading about Woodward and Bernstein. And I started understanding the power that journalism can have over our society to help shape where we're going to go.
And you land where in terms of a job?
So my first job was with McGraw-Hill. I was actually a financial news reporter in New York City. I came back home for a couple of years. And then 2 years in, I met my girlfriend, who was at Columbia Law School at the time, and she said, well, I'm going to be moving back to Atlanta to join a law firm. And I thought, what a great opportunity to follow her and to look to expand my career into Atlanta. And I landed at Atlanta Business Chronicle.
So you started at Atlanta Business Chronicle as a reporter?
I did. I was the banking reporter. I also covered sports business. I remember in 1989 going to the IBM Tower and going up to meet with this brash attorney named Billy Payne, and he had this idea of bringing the Olympics to Atlanta. And I remember walking out of his office saying, that man's crazy. He'll never bring the Olympics to Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was a really exciting time for a young journalist in Atlanta to kind of explore the city that was just about to hit its stride. Spent 10 years at the Chronicle as a reporter covering banking and real estate, and then the editor. And it was a job of a lifetime. It was fantastic.
Where did you go when you left the Business Chronicle?
So there was an opportunity for me to go into the public relations field, and I joined Ketchum Public Relations. So I felt like I was making a fairly smooth transition. I didn't feel like I was abandoning journalism. I was just continuing in my education in the whole process. It was the .com era. We were really starting to see the internet come about, and I learned so much about business by my time at Ketchum, and it was an exciting 5 years there.
You leave Ketchum, you go to another
Equifax.
Local company, Equifax.
Yep. Now working for a Fortune 1000 company that is an iconic brand in Atlanta, with the job of helping oversee corporate communications for this great brand that everyone knows but doesn't always appreciate in terms of creating credit reports and credit scores and data for the world. So one of the things that when I got to Equifax, as much as I loved working for this company, was I felt like I was removing myself from the community. The great thing about being part of the Chronicle was I felt like I was really involved in the community at all different levels. By going back and starting my own firm, I was able to get back into the community and give back in certain ways and take on clients who were mid-sized companies that needed help starting their businesses or maturing their businesses with the experiences I'd already built. So it was just a way for me to build a business but also give back to the community in a similar way.
You work hard, but you're also a volunteer. You offer your expertise along the way. Tell us a little bit about what you do at ClearPoint.
The day I left the Chronicle, I got a phone call from what was then called Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Greater Atlanta. And their CEO at the time, Suzanne Boaz, called me and said, I'd like you to consider taking on a board position with us. And it's been close to 17 years now that I've served on what is now known as ClearPoint Credit Counseling Service. And it is one of the leading credit counseling organizations in the country.
And now we come full circle, back to Atlanta Business Chronicle. What was it that drew you back home, so to speak?
Well, you know, I didn't see it coming at all. It was really, but as I thought about it and got to talking with Ed and talking with the people who own the Chronicle, American City Business Journals in Charlotte, come to realize that all these ingredients that had gone into my career were the building blocks that could maybe make me a good publisher. It really is sort of a dream come true in many ways, coming back to the place where I love to work in the first place. But I come back to a very, very different place.
I was going to say, a lot has changed since the 90s.
Yes.
And coming back to the Chronicle, what do you see as the biggest change?
Atlanta Business Chronicle was clearly a newspaper that had a little bit of a website and put on a couple of events. I come back to a vastly different multimedia organization where our digital footprint is so much more vast. We have this television show. We put on dozens and dozens of events every year that connects our business community in a really special way. And we put out probably one of the greatest business journals in the country. It's just, there's a lot more layers to what's going on. But at the very heart, it's still the same place it was when I left. It's still the same place that's trying to develop the very best information for the business community so they can succeed. It's just how we're packaging it. People are just accessing their information in a different way.
You've mentioned Ed a couple of times during our conversation. You've got some pretty big shoes to fill, but I imagine you also want to forge your own path.
My job is to help polish that brand even more, keep it growing, find new ways that bring my own ideas, but remember the legacy that he helped build to help establish the Business Chronicle to what it is today.
So David, we hear this all the time, that newspapers are dying. Are you afraid? Are newspapers dying?
Well, I don't see us working at a newspaper. I think we work at a media company that happens to have a news product that's printed on paper. We have such an amazing group of loyal readers of our print edition that want to get it on Friday mornings in their hands. We're going to continue to serve them, and we will continue to serve them for as long as we feel the market is demanding it. If there's a point at which the market is no longer interested in the print product, then we'll have this amazing digital product for them to rely on as well. But the key here is it's not about what format it comes in. It's the fact that we're continuing to deliver the best information possible to help the business community grow.
When I asked David what advice he would give to young people aspiring to work in journalism, he said, always be nice. He finds that relationships tend to be the most important part of business success, and how you carry yourself can carry you a long way, he says. Well, straight ahead, if you're a business owner, then there are some things you can do to help Uncle Sam help you. It's expert advice for your tax preparation. Get the details next.